Hello and welcome to UK Fitness Hub. My name is Travis Tarrant and today we're going to be covering everything that you need to know about tennis elbow, or clinically as it's known, lateral epicondylitis. Let's get into it. Okay, so what is lateral epicondylitis? What does that mean? It sounds really scary. So firstly, lateral means away from the body and medial means towards the body. So our medial epicondyle is the opposite side of our lateral epicondyle. And the forearm extensor muscles actually attach to a tendon which attaches to the lateral epicondyle. So that's the first thing. Now, itis just means inflammation of the origin. So in this case, inflammation of the lateral epicondyle. So if you've got lateral epicondylitis, you're probably feeling pain on the outside of the elbow. Now, this forms for two main reasons, and the first one is repetitive strains. So repetitive strains is doing something over and over and over again, generally the same movement. So let's take somebody that works and does a lot of screwing and unscrewing of things. They're constantly going to be working those muscles, and they can become tired and inflamed and strained. In the worst case scenario, tears can form, and these generally isn't really the populace that does repetitive movements, but maybe somebody that is an avid gym goer. So strenuous exercise is the second reason. Now let's take, for example, a young guy developing his bench press, which a lot of young guys are doing. They might get to the stage where their chest can handle the weight, however, they find that their wrists start curling back, or they don't have the strength within their tendons and ligaments and forearms, but they actually feel like their chest can do the weight. So often what you'll see people do is put wrist wraps. They won't wait for their forearms and the extensor muscles to catch up with the chest. They'll just keep going and going and going. So often people pushing themselves too far is a reason of why you might develop this in a sporting or gym environment.
There's only one place to start when it comes to trying to treat tennis elbow, and that's cold compressions. Now, I would want you to do this once in the morning and once at night for a maximum of 5 minutes and a minimum of 3. Now, if you don't like actually holding the ice pack in place, what I tend to do when I have injuries is I'll put an elastic band or a resistance band and wrap it around so I don't have to constantly hold it in place. But this is certainly the first thing that you want to be doing. And the reason is because it's got anti-inflammatory properties and it should bring the inflammation and swelling down. The next thing you can progress to is to stretch out the forearm. Now, there's a couple of ways to do this, but my personal favorite is to put my hand over a bench or a table, worktop, and then with my other hand to pull back on the hand. So you should be feeling this at the top of the forearm all the way from the wrist towards the elbow joint. Now, if you've got excruciating pain or high levels of pain on this stretch, then you know that you're not quite ready for exercise yet and strengthening. However, make sure that you try and get this stretch down to at least a 5 or less before you start the following movements coming up. Now, if you've managed those two okay, you can actually progress on to warming up the forearm with mobilization. So on this one, I'm creating a fist and then going out to a full hand and then returning back to a fist. And you do this for 15 repetitions, 3 sets over. You can actually see from this second angle, not all of my forearm is on the bench, and this allows my wrist greater flexibility to be able to do the movement. Moving on to the first of our exercises, which is a forearm extensor curl, this allows us to be able to work and strengthen up the extensor muscles. Now, for most people, the hands will be enough to start off with, but those of you that find that too easy and like to progress can actually use a weight. Now, you can use a can or a bottle. You don't have to use a dumbbell, anything that's lying around the house. And when you curl up, you should be doing this nice and slow and even slower on the way down. Really important to control the lowering phase. So next we're going to be doing supinations and pronations. So to pronate the hand means to turn or hold the hand so the palm is facing downwards and inwards. And then to supinate is the opposite, so palm facing upwards. Now, when you do this one, make sure you don't pick something too heavy. I'm really, really slow. I've got my hand on my elbow so my elbow doesn't prop up so I don't cheat. but make sure slow and steady wins the race on this one. There's less sets and less reps because it is a harder exercise and you're prone to fatigue faster. Now, the last one that we're going to talk about is radial and ulnar curls. Now, pop your hand in a fist and then try and go straight up with your thumb and then come back down. Exactly the same principle, nice and slow. And you might think, well, why have you not got to wait for this one? Now, if you did want to put resistance on this one, the best option for you is not to use a weight because it's probably going to hit the work surface or table that you're doing. It's actually to use a resistance band, and you can do this to add a little bit more resistance to the exercise. It's worth noting that self-massage can be really effective for tennis elbow, so make sure that you get 2 fingers and go against the grain of the muscle. So the muscle is running horizontally and I'm going vertically. Now you can do this in the morning or the evening, preferably after a shower where the muscle's going to be more relaxed and more pliable. When you do this, make sure that you're not hitting any more than a 6 out of 10 in the pain barrier. And there's no duration on how long you can do this for. Just make sure it is below that 6 out of 10.
So before I end off on today's video, there's one thing that I haven't covered, and it's supports for the arm. And you can actually buy supports for tennis elbow. Now, I'm not getting any commission off anyone to sell anything, so I'm going to give you my honest opinion, which is they're not a waste of time. However, me as a practitioner, if I was to say to somebody, here's a load of corrective exercises and here's what I want you to do, but you can also go and get a support or a compression band for tennis elbow and it will make it a lot better, they'll forget completely about all the exercises that I've taught them and they'll go straight to the band because people like quick fixes. However, typically when somebody wears one of these supports, they'll often feel a lot better, but when they take the support off, they feel exactly the same. So I think of it more as like a mask of pain, and it allows somebody to work through something, but it doesn't actually solve it in most cases. It just takes the pressure off those inflamed muscles. So use it as a last resort. It's not a complete waste of time, but try to do things yourself and try to get to the root cause rather than just do that quick fix. So that ends today's video. Now, if you have learned something new or you've got some kind of relief from any of the things that I've spoken about in this video, then please leave a like. And if you do have tennis elbow, I hope you get better soon. Now, I'm trying to build a channel where I give information like this to you for free, and a way that you can help me grow the channel and reach more people and help more people is to subscribe. If you've got any comments or questions for me, please leave them in the comments box, and I'll see you soon. My name's Tarrant, and you've been watching UK Fitness Hub.